In the Estates LLC, what I do is I teach, train, coach, and mentor you A to Z, but I'm also your partner. You're my partner. So I'm heavily invested in your deals because if you're successful, I'm successful. And so you make money every time you do a deal. And when you do a deal and you profit, then I also make money. So I'm heavily invested in your success. So my motive is not to sell you education. The differentiating difference here is I'm not a guru out there to charge you for education. What I do is you come in, you sign up into my system, and you become a partner, or our goals become aligned because the more properties you buy, renovate, flip, or sell, or hold, or whatever your strategy is, the more you do that, the more money you make, which in turn means the more money I make. So our goals are aligned. I'm not interested in selling you education where I make my money and then want the next guy to come through the door so he can be educated. I'm into building business professionals who will make it long term with me. They make profit and the company profits. That's our model. So when I get on the call every night and I'm working an individual through a deal, like I had a client the other day that bought a condominium in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. She knows that as I walk her through a trashed out property to a clean, fully renovated, staged property that's ready to go on the market for sale, she knows I'm as invested as she is because my success depends upon her success. So the lady that I had in Georgia bought the condo and I worked her through the property from a trashed out nightmare with a hoarder to now it's fully staged and furnished and ready to go out on the market for sale, right? The benefit you get here with me is you get my mind, my brain, my soul, my body, in the sense that I'm there physically with you and mentally with you through the project. This is what we see all the time. Last night we were into discussions on the intermediate and advanced call. We talked about attorneys and the costs of attorneys. We talked about efficiencies on how to get a deal done quicker. We were in the middle of deal last week where one of the people in our system, a sub-2 negotiator, was working through a deal. And so we were able to walk her through, okay, what happened on that deal? How did that deal go? And what's a way that we can streamline it or make it more efficient? And then we had a buyer or a lender on that deal who also was looking at it from the money side. And we were looking at it saying, okay, how do we get this to be more efficient? How do we reduce risks so that at the end of the day, there's a greater return and a smoother transition as they go into that asset and then renovate it and then flip it and sell it or whatever the strategy is. In my business, I don't want to go in and sell you on education. The education comes free. Yes, you sign a no-compete, non-disclosure. I'm not interested in training my competition. So you got to keep that in mind. What we share with you, we want you to keep with us and with you. We don't want you going somewhere else out in the marketplace with it. But what we do is we have a high level of trust with the individuals that are on the call, and then anything that you ask me, any question you ask me, I'm going to give you an answer to. And so I'm going to walk you through the hyper-technical issues of the business. Have you ever seen a YouTube video where you go in and the washer is clean, the part is clean, and the installation goes in great? Well, that's not what we do at the Estates Real Estate Group. What we actually do is walk you through the problem areas. Where you really want the video to show you is when a guy messes up and a bolt gets stripped, or the item isn't cleaned, or it needs to be sanded, or there's some issue with it that you have to resolve the problem. A lot of times your fix-em videos show you a nice clean process that's so easy, and you're watching it as you're in the middle of a catastrophe and you need help, and they're not really showing you how to resolve the nitty-gritty problems. In our case, because I'm invested in your success, it's critical to me that I show you the nuances of the business and teach and train and educate you and coach you so that you get through those nitty-gritties, so that those gridlocks or those problems that throw you down or give you a hard time, you're able to work through them so that you're able to get into a situation where you can effectively do multiples of these types of properties, right? Because my goal is to get you to make as much money as you can, because by you making as much money as you can, then the company can make as much money as it can, and that's capitalism, right? So at the end of the day, that's capitalism, baby, right? You want to make sure that you are being educated on the parts that are hard, if that makes sense. And so we do A to Z learning. The education is free. I become your partner in a lot of cases, and we make money together. And if I'm not your partner, I have a vested interest in your success, because if you're successful, I'm successful. Okay, so as an example, last night we were on a call and we were discussing Airbnbs. So this is how you're going to get coached and trained and mentored by me. We went and asked the client, how many properties do you have Airbnb? And he said there's 4 of them. Well, I knew that one of them had just recently come to market. He just renovated and put it out to market. And so there were 3 of them that he had. And I said, well, how many out of the 4 of them are now shifting to long-term rentals? And he said 3 out of 3. And so then my next question was, well, isn't the 4th one just online? And he said, yes, it is, right? So I knew that it wasn't really 3 out of 4, it was 3 out of 3. And the reason why is because the new rental had just come online, and because I was tracking him in Teams and he and I are communicating all the time. I know his business because I'm helping him with him on an intellectual basis, on a line-by-line basis, as he needs that help. So I knew that 3 out of 3 of his properties had gone to long-term rentals or had longer contracts. I then asked him, how much are you making on the 2 properties that are 2-3s? And he said, I'm pulling in $7,500 a month. So he's pulling in $7,500 a month on a short-term rental that we expected maybe would make $2,000 to $3,000. And so we can see the shift in the marketplace. And then I was able to say to everyone on the phone, okay, here's what you see currently happening in the short-term rental market. You've now gone from where you have weekend renters to long-term renters, how that affects it on the law and how it affects it on the income. And then he was like, really? So I can only rent for 30 days because that's what the Texas law says. And then we're able to go through and step through those numbers and through those strategies. So in that particular client's case, him being on the free call last night and getting free education in the system, because I don't sell education, because at the end of the day, my real goal is to help the woman who's in Georgia on her condominium be successful, because I'm a partner in that and I make money as she makes money. And the guy who's currently Airbnb, I make money as he or she makes money, right? And so I get intrinsically involved with the different stories. And then the cool thing about that is everyone else on the call who hears those stories also gets that same education or that same download and dump of information, right? And so the value to our system is you come in and you pay, $100 a month, let's say, and you get all the education in the world, but really what I'm doing is building you into a business partner that can go the long haul with me. I'm also not interested in bringing in a large volume of people who are not going to produce in my business, because I'm not selling you education. My goal is to naturally select out those who are going to be top producers and who are going to go the distance, because those are the ones that are going to make themselves money, and they're going to make me money as a company, or the company money. So that means that as a whole, it gives us a much better reputation out there on our ability to be successful. Right? And so as you look at each one of my clients as they're walking through their processes, I'm heavily invested in their success, because if I'm able to walk them through the changes as they're happening in the marketplace and make them more money, it in turn makes the company more money, and we all win. And that's the goal and the philosophy and the strategy of the marketplace. I can also tell you as an example that we were right on it with the rental evictions. We knew that the eviction moratorium had ended, and I had another client who had 2 properties where they needed to get the tenants out. The tenants had been overstaying for months on end, and there was revenue being lost by my client. And so I was able to walk them through getting them plugged in with the attorney so that that eviction could occur the day that the government restrictions lifted, so that I could get them evicted. And it just so happened that that window opened and then partially closed. So were they able to get that person evicted, or 2 households evicted, and then that window potentially closed for them? It's those types of hyper technical issues or technicalities that I'm teaching, training, coaching, and mentoring on a nightly basis on my calls. So if you're an individual that says, hey, I want to go do it myself, I don't need you, this isn't the model for you. But on the other hand, if you believe in synergies, you want to be coached for free, taught, trained, and mentored and educated with a guy that's got over 36 years plus experience, and you want to learn A to Z, and you want to be involved in partnerships with people who care about your success, then this is the business model for you.